Hi everyone, Tim Kittrow, and here to bring home the bacon are Big Rye and the Fat Guy. Boom shakalaka!
Life at the Outpost.
What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Picks Against the Spread for Week 12 for the 21-22 NFL season. Fat Guy, we are 81, 78, and 4. Good for just under 51%. On to the Thanksgiving Thursday games. We'll start off with the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. Lions +4 at home. Fat Guy, is there closing line value in this one?
I really think there is, and I think we're already seeing it too. I was able to get down. I didn't get 4. I got Lions +3.5, and it's teetering on about Lions +3.25. I know that doesn't make any sense, but the juice is it's 3 right now at Pinnacle. We're betting this I bet this in the gap between the afternoon games and the Sunday night football, which is right now while we're filming, of course. So right at open at the book that I use for early lines, I got 3.5. But on Pinnacle, I believe it's already moved to 3 with heavy juice on the Bears. So I like to say 3.25 in these spots. It's almost like a soccer type analysis.
Yeah.
But I do think there is on the Lions. Uncertainty at quarterback for the Bears. The Lions' strategy I would say, is very cover friendly. So I think the Lions are able to keep it competitive solely because, yeah, they might have, Tim Boyle at quarterback. They might have Jared Goff, but those guys aren't going to get that many opportunities they seem to be dedicated to the run. And normally I don't like highlighting this stuff, but it's a shift in coaching ideals, right? They've gotten closer doing that. And the Lions have actually had some of their better results the last 2 weeks. So I like the Lions in this spot at home to cover a spread. They're underdogs, right? And it's not like the Bears are going to be blowing blowing our hair back on offense either. So, when in doubt, take the points. But I don't even think this is a doubt. I think 3 bad juice with the Bears is probably right. So I'll take that extra hook, right? And I didn't pay very much juice on this either. I got down at a reasonable price. So I like the Lions all the way. And if you can still find 3.5 when this video comes out, I think you should jump on it.
Fat Guy, next up, the Raiders travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, who are 7-point favorites at home. 25% of early bettors are on the Cowboys after that performance. How do you feel about this line? Do you think there's going to be closing line value on either side?
This is a little bit tougher because you have to think of the reactionary thing. Like, how much clout does the Cowboys lose after taking? It was a kind of a beating almost by the Chiefs. I mean, the score line doesn't necessarily indicate that, but
it was more a disappointing performance from the Cowboys.
I guess you could put it that way. But on the flip side, the Raiders, I mean, that's disappointing, really. But then where does that, does the public even have recency bias on that? And if so, which way would it sway from a number of 7? I would this is such a tough one in terms of I would hate to be wrong on either side. That's why I abstained from betting, even though I do lean the Raiders, and I'm going to be taking the Raiders in the contest. I think 7 is probably too many. I think this should be a Dallas -6, but I'm too. I don't have strong indications of where this game is going to end up, so I'm too bearish to. I don't exactly have the cojones to put the early money down on either side, just for fear of losing this key hook in either direction. So it'll be a contest pick and possibly a regret with not taking the Raiders in real life. So Raiders plus points.
And then the last game on the Thursday night, Thanksgiving Day, Buffalo Bills at the New Orleans Saints. Saints 4.5-point dogs at home. Only 12% of early bettors are on most likely Trevor Siemian and the New Orleans Saints. Any closing line value here?
I don't know. And I tend to how do I put this? I tend to like the majority of, okay, this is because this isn't really a good example of the public. This 88% is generally how many public bettors are betting right at open, right? It's usually sharper guys. So it makes me a little bit leery when I go against them. And I'd like to, this is something that we should be tracking. It's one of the few things that we don't actually is what happened in the early, but we do have these videos, so that might make it easier for a little bit of a data sample, even though most of them are 0 or 100. Calling on you, Action Network, be a little bit more astute. That being said, we're just going to take the points. When in doubt, pure contest pick going to be the Saints plus 4.5. It's not my favorite one. I did enjoy the Colts thrashing of the Bills in that rematch. I think the Colts are a really good team, and it's nice to see them, getting the results I think they deserve for their decision making. I think they're just a better coached football team than the Bills and a lot of others. Frank Reich is up there with premier coaches of the league. But we're talking about the Bills and the Saints, not the Indianapolis Colts. I will take the points in purely a contest affair. Saints plus the points.
And then Fat Guy and I stream every Monday and Thursday night. So let us know which Thursday game for Thanksgiving you'd like us to be live for.
Get up early.
Well, I doubt anyone's going to want to watch Bears Lions with us, but
I got
I'm
a few
guessing
shekels on it. Why not?
Why not? All right, Fat Guy. On to the Sunday games. We'll start off with the Falcons Jags, which is a pick 'em right now, and there's no betting market info. Only 226 bets so far at Action Network. Do you think there's going to be closing line value on either side?
I tend to think that it is going to be on the Falcons. Like, this is a tough one too, because like this is how you really like in terms of I like using like a public perception Bayesian Elo rating system. I know that sounded like word salad, but I like an idea of because we're not really betting on we're betting on where the public is going to put their money, and will that generate an advantage? That's all. Like, that's really what this is. You know what I mean? It's less about the Atlanta Falcons lackluster offense against a reasonable defense in the Jets. It's none of that. You have to take that out of the equation. Everybody knows all this stuff. All this stuff is already baked into the line. You have to think on the peripherals, right? Coaching decision, I don't think is really baked into the line, or coaching decision efficiency. Let's call it that. Obviously it'll have a trickle down effect in some of the stats that they use and some of the metrics that they use, obviously from coaching decisions, but not in some of the major ones. That being said, where does the public perception of a very poor primetime performance of Atlanta against a good team, might I add, against whereas, in a game probably not bet on that much. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sure Big Rye does. In terms of the 49ers and the Jags.
47,000, so very, very low amount of bets compared to the aggregate.
Comparatively, yeah, exactly, right? So is that going to stick out more, right? That Falcons just putrid performance against the Patriots? And is that even worth something? Because the Patriots are, like, they're eyeing top spot, in the AFC. Like, that's a real thing, right? So this is one of those difficult ones, but from a market perspective, it's very interesting. Which way is the public gonna sway, right? And I believe both teams are healthy, so we don't have to worry about. And even then, too, Big Fry, like as quarterbacks aside, is there any injury that could actually push, either team?
Well, like you said, quarterbacks aside, like if Matt Ryan gets hurt, this line is gonna move quite a bit. I can't remember
Lawrence too.
I can't remember who the backup is in Jacksonville off the top of my head, but it's not going to move as much if Lawrence is out compared to
correct
compared to if Matt Ryan is out.
But other than that, is it like Josh Allen from the Jags and like maybe Grady Jarrett? Like I can't think.
There'd
of any
have to
other
be
players.
like a cluster injury,
exactly
or,
right,
or something like a
cluster
COVID
injuries,
scare. That's the only thing that's going to really sway this line anywhere past
aside. 3
on either side.
I know I'm going the longest on this game, but it's the most interesting to me from a market observer, we'll call it. And the cluster injury thing, that's one I haven't really figured out, to be honest, is what like a cluster of injuries is worth. And I know it's worth significant value. We've usually been on the good side of those, some really good wagers on the other side of cluster injuries, because it's replacing multiple guys kind of makes you have to dig deep. And to give you an example, the most recent one I can remember is that Thursday nighter, Arizona playing the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay had not even practice level wide receivers in that game. They had below that. I mean, masterful performance from Aaron Rodgers. But those are hard to calculate. So this is going to be, I think this is like a fair, a fair judge of how like two bad teams, or maybe even no one cares and it just stays at 0. And then all of this bluster I'm putting out there is just moot. That being said, I'm just going to take Atlanta. I think if I could get Atlanta at like minus 106 or something, like I think that's a reasonable bet. So we'll see though. That's pure speculation though, and I haven't actually got down on Atlanta. So I'm just picking them in the contest, but I am very, very interested in which way the market would sway in such a game.
And as we're speaking, this line has opened up at Pinnacle, Atlanta -1. So slight value there. On the money line, they're they're minus 113. So still no bet for Fat Guy. On to the Jets, Houston Texans. Texans -2.5.
All right,
Fat Guys, they're going to be closing line value, and just as we are talking, like all the lines have come out. So I'll let you go, and then I'll tell you what.
Well,
the line
I don't actually
is.
know. I'm not looking it up. There's nothing in front of me. I think Texans -3 is right.
Well, I think you're spot on, because that's exactly what it is.
All right then. All right. I could see it. I could see this closing as like Texans -3 with bad juice on the Texans. There's a quarterback mismatch no matter who the Jets trot out there in Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor versus Zach Wilson et al. We'll call it the law firm. What is it? Wilson.
Well,
White.
Flacco started
Flacco?
this week, so
yes, I know, but it doesn't really matter. There's an edge.
There's not much to be drawn
There's
from.
not a big gap, exactly, right?
Players.
And I do think the Texans should be 3-point favorites on the high. If it was 3.5 with okay juice, even slightly bad juice, I'd probably take the Jets. I went for the middle against the Dolphins, and I fell short on that, but I don't regret it whatsoever. Middling is a viable strategy. If you can get Texans -2.5 good juice, I think that might be a very good plan, with the idea of possibly buying back on the Jets if it goes to an insane price of Jets +3.5. Well, not insane, but like unlikely price of Jets +3.5. So we're going for that CLV, and we're going with the Texans -2.5 with some instant vindication for the Fat Guy.
Yeah. On to the next one. Tennessee at New England. New England 3-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, is their closing line value in this game?
Absolutely. We're going to take the Pats. I've already bet the Pats. I got a slightly worse number than 3, and I'm completely fine with it. I think this game closes at Pats -7, not even joking. So
I'll jump in here, because the live line right now is Pats -6. So you even got closing line value on the line that you got.
Oh, man.
I think you're feeling good right now. I'm
feeling great. I honestly, this is so funny. I got crushed 3 weeks in a row. This past week was good, but I got crushed being on the really good sides of closing line value. The one thing that I don't like about the closing line value strategy in football in terms of spreads is it doesn't get realized very often unless it's a massive shift. So I'm almost more of a proponent of betting a lot of these early money lines, and conveniently some of the really early ones don't open with money lines. They don't let you bet the money line. So it's I think they understand that too. So this is kind of a newer concept. And again, we haven't worked everything out. The rabbit hole is so deep. Yeah. And I wonder how many feet we're in. You know what I mean? Like if we even crawled 6 feet down the, million-mile center of the earth dig, probably not. But I mean, that's the whole thing, right? So each strategy, we bore new ideas, we peel the onion more, and I think betting money lines if you can. And this is a comment. Here's something in the comment section. You want to help us? You want to help the cause, the Big Ride and the Fat Guy community? Post which sportsbook has been reliable and has really good early lines, because it's becoming a struggle for that. And the one I use doesn't only has early spreads, and I don't. You know what I mean? Like if you get a team -3. They close at -6. They win by 20. Well, what really was the difference, right? Like, obviously, there is a percentage gap between, if the score lands on 4 or 5, right? Well, those are, you can purely realize it, but the variance is very high on that. Whereas, like, your expected value and realization of expected value, if you were to graph it, wouldn't be like this if you bet the money line. It would be more linear.
There'd be less
upward.
variance. It'd be more consistent.
Yeah, and I think that's. I don't know if that's worth more than, like, because we don't actually have the data. Is that worth more than just saving a point, stealing a point here and there? But I tend to think it is, right? Because this is a theory. This is one we haven't worked out. Some of the stuff we have worked out, and that still doesn't necessarily just generate consistent winners. That's not how this works. All of that being said, this is a slam dunk. I've already bet on the Pats -3. I figure that it's going to close at 7. So I think there's even movement from that 6 number. Considering Tennessee, another one. This is another one to look out for. That's a survivor knock. That would have knocked out a lot of people in Survivor, them against Houston. So, I know one guy who he's in a Survivor pool for $1 million. Down to the final 100, this one knocked him out. So a lot of salty tears. Fat Guy is still alive in the final 2 of his Survivor. So we'll see. New England -3 is the easy pick all day.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles travel to New York to take on the Giants, who are 3-point dogs at home. There's no betting percentages as of yet. And let me see if I can see what the percentages are. Actually, no. 95% of bets are on the Eagles, 453 bets so far, Fat Guy. Any closing line value on either side?
That makes 454 of us. I might be included in that 453. I like the Eagles. I like the -3. This is a look-ahead line, though. The Giants haven't played. They play the Buccaneers. Tomorrow, Big Rye? Yeah, tomorrow.
Yep. Monday night.
Yeah, so I think this is a clear one. Obviously, that could sway because a recency bias on, like, a very unlikely New York Giants victory would probably tamper this line.
Maybe bring it down to 2.5.
Maybe it might do that, even though I that would really make me like the Eagles then too, even more. But I think this 3 is okay. It's an okay Eagles bet. If I were to grade it, it would be like a C+. So Eagles -3, I think here is the play, and I do see this most likely closing at 3.5. So that's a really significant half point. So I do like the Eagles at this 3 number at like a C+. Let's call it.
And that's what it opened at Pinnacle, and the juice has actually gone in favor of the Eagles. They're right now -3, -113, so pretty spot on.
I'm on it today, man. Getting everyone. Getting everything.
On to the next game, Tampa Bay at Indy. Indy +3.5 at home. Let me see. 77% of early bettors are on the Buccaneers. Fat Guys, are closing line value on either side.
Well, I like how they stacked these up. Really nice. Look ahead line again. Just as we had mentioned, the Bucs playing the Giants, and like the problem with having a big favorite and having a look ahead line is that it's actually a good thing for us realistically, is the Bucs can really only hurt themselves. They can't gain any recency bias or let's call it comparative favoritism. Maybe
it's more likely that they move closer to the mean rather than further away.
Anyway, they can't get a boost if they win 50-0.
They beat the Giants.
You beat the
They're
Giants.
Supposed to do this.
Exactly.
I still think there's a small population that would go, oh, now the Bucs are for real again. But but I know what you mean. It's going to move going to move the needle a lot less.
Yeah, and that public, how much are they betting? The public that cares. This is the other thing too. The public that would be really on the Bucs after a 50-0 victory is not a sharp public, okay? And their unit sizing, I can promise you, is very small. The people that would be reactioning to a 50-0 win. Now, if they lost, let's put it realistically. If they lost 27-13, if they lost like they did against the football team to the Giants, let's give the Giants some sort of really small, reasonable situation where they could win. Say they lose 27-13 to the Giants. Very unlikely, I'm admitting this. But say that they do that, that's going to hurt them real bad. And I think that hook that you would get if you bet on Indy would be gone. Yeah, I think it ends up on Bucs -2.5. That would be a full point on the most holiest of holies, the 3.5 to the 2.5. It'd be the biggest shift you could possibly get for 1 point in the National Football League.
This is actually very, very interesting because they actually have this line up at Pinnacle. You can bet it at the moment, and it is Tampa Bay -2.5. But do you think that early line is already baked in, that there's a possibility that something could go wrong or astray for Tampa playing tomorrow?
Injury too, right? Because that's also another thing to look ahead. That's possible. Well, I'm already on the Colts +3.5, so that's another win. This is a home run Sunday. This is how I like my Sundays, to be honest, is this part. It's not even so much the games, to be honest. It's just being right. theoretically right. That's the other thing. You can be theoretically right. And that's the other thing too about results that people don't understand. I always put it, say you got a bag, it has 10 marbles in it. 9 are red, 1 is blue. You have the red at even money and the other person has the blue. If they pick the blue a couple times, does that make your bet wrong? Absolutely not. Right? Like, that's just how it works. So you're not always going to get the results, but you have to trust the process as if you were the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. So that being said, easy bet, Colts plus 3.5. Happy to be on that side.
And shout out to Fat Guy with the Squid Game reference. On to the next game. Pittsburgh Steelers.
I don't even know what that is.
At the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals -4 at home. Fat Guy is their closing line value for this divisional matchup.
Did they do that in that show? Is there a red-blue thing?
Well, let's get past it. Who do you like in this game?
Let's stick
to football.
Oh, at least let me know on air. Jeez. Anyways, that being said, when in doubt, take the points. This is going to be a Pittsburgh +4. There are this is not a bet on it in real life here. The one issue is the Bengals pulled off a pretty big win, but I don't think this should be. I think this line should be Bengals -3, assuming Roethlisberger plays, but that's also a big assumption too. So I don't like it in real life. This is only going to be in practice. This is only going to be in contest. I'm going to be taking the Pittsburgh Steelers, who this is technically a look ahead. They're playing right now against the Chargers, just midway through the first quarter. And I'll take the Steelers. I'll take the 4 points and purely a contest pick.
Yeah, they don't have a lineup at Pinnacle, so I can't do any comparative analysis. On to the next game, Carolina Panthers at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins +2.5 at home. And no betting market info yet. 945 bets, though, so quite a few bets placed early on this game.
I like the Carolina Panthers in this spot. -2.5 is a line that I don't mind. This is slightly different than the one that was offered to me. Mine was offered at 3.5 3 rather. And I just abstained from the game at 2.5. I would take the Panthers if it was available. So Carolina Panthers -2.5 is going to be the play. And I think that there's some of this Cam Newton mystery is actually helping. Like, they have, it's nice. Like, it's not that I'm a Cam Newton fan, but like when you have a guy that just knows how to run an offense, do you know what I mean? Like, he has experience at that. You can't say he doesn't, right? And they haven't had guys at his caliber of, caliber of running things smoothly, right? So Miami won over the Jets, but that's kind of like, you kind of expect them to win that game, right? Especially coming off such a performance against Baltimore. The closing line value, where is it going to end up? Maybe this is it. Maybe it's at 2.5. So it's not exactly insane value, but I'm going to take the Panthers. I'm going to lay the 2.5 points.
So I hate to burst your bubble, Fat Guy. This is the first one where you're off. Miami Dolphins are actually 1-point favorites at Pinnacle, but the juice is kind of off. The money line, Carolina -110, Miami a pick 'em. So still slightly. Well,
I didn't give it a ringing endorsement, so I'm going to call that a neutral. Okay.
On to the next one. LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Broncos +1.5 at home. Fat Guy, do you see closing line value on this one, even though the Chargers are playing at the moment?
I'm trying not to let this sway, but like we pre-wrote down these picks, right? Well, because we only made them like to start literally 5 minutes before we started filming the show. So this is a look ahead line the Chargers are currently playing. It is 0-0. I mean, it would be more likely they have closing line value if they were up, 14-0 in the first quarter. This is actually probably a slightly negative. They should be even if they were up slightly. Like, I'm trying to extrapolate the probability they win the Steelers game in terms of is there CLV, but I do think there will be on the Chargers. I'm a bit of a Chargers fanboy. There is some bias here. This is a divisional game on the road in Denver, though, so there is like some of my contrarian body is still thinking like Denver money line. You know what I mean? So this isn't a ringing endorsement. This is a contest pick. Chargers -1.5.
And the next one is Minnesota at San Fran. San Fran 2.5-point favorites at home. There's no, well, I'll take that back. 66% of early bettors are on San Fran. 390 bets placed so far, Fat Guy. Do you think there is closing line value on either side?
Not really sure. I would imagine that there is. It's more likely to be on the Vikings. So like the Vikings pulling off another win. They played some pretty good football recently, right? So on the like, I kind of like Vikings money line at plus money, and I think this is more likely to close closer to a pick. And don't forget, the line is really elastic if you move negatively under 3. You know, like from -2.5 to 0 isn't like the biggest gap, because think of how often games end, you know, with a team winning by 1 or 2 points. It's just pretty rare. That being said, it's less rare with the new move pat rules, but that's the big data hasn't exactly revealed.
I've got the numbers here in front of me, but I'm not going to say. So that's pretty much what Fat Guy's trying to say. We just think Minnesota's probably the better team, and I feel like what the public thinks. I see this more as a pick'em as well. So we're both on Minnesota. This line opened at San Fran -2.5, -110. So it's slightly off. More likely to move to 3 than not. But either way, 2.5 to 3 is still the biggest move. So we are on the Vikings. Next up, Fat Guy, LA Rams at the Green Bay Packers. Packers -1.5 at home. And 91% of early bettors are on the Packers. I think that's kind of a surprise for you and I.
Very big surprise, because we'd select the Rams. I like the Rams money line a little bit. Not exactly a gold star. I'd call this a C+, maybe even a C type of a bet if I were to grade it rather. The Packers, I think, would have lost a little bit of clout, but this feels a little bit close to like when the Bucks went in to play the Rams. You know, like it opened at Rams -1.5 and closed at Bucks -1.5. I could see that happening in this game, despite we'll call it negative early indications on this Packers money coming in. That being said, I think Rams money line is the play. So in the contest, that will be a Rams +1.5.
Yeah, interesting. Yep. This the line right now is actually at 2.5, but there's heavy juice on the Rams, +2.5, -114, which is essentially the same as 1.5 with the same juice on both sides. So interesting to note, though, that it's at 2.5. Then the Sunday night game is Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore -4. 80% of early bettors are on the Ravens. Fat Guy, who you got? Or is there closing line value?
More than likely, it'd probably be on the Cleveland Browns. They weren't able to cover against the knee-biting Lions, who have been a little bit competitive as of late, which we like. We actually don't mind Lions football, even though it's very ugly. So that being said, even if there is a very, very, very small percent of chance that Lamar Jackson doesn't play, that bodes well for the Browns and the 4 points. I think this should be a 3-point game either way. The Browns have pretty much underperformed for some of the decision making of the coach, so it would be nice to see some sort of reciprocal performance. Of course, getting blown out by the Pats and then having a tighter one against the Lions. I think this line is a little bit juiced up, and this line is also in anticipation of Lamar Jackson playing. Of course, I mean, missing the last second due to illness, like what's the chance that he misses the next one? They probably gave him mercy perhaps on this game and didn't want to exasperate him. So that being said, I think this is a clear Browns +4 pick.
The line right now is 4.5, but the Browns are -113 at +4.5. And I also think this line opened as high just with how Mayfield finished the game. He didn't look like he was exactly comfortable with the injury he picked up, but hopefully he'll be able to shake it off and be able to
play
go
through it.
On to the Monday night game, Seattle at Washington. Washington 3.5-point dogs at home. Fat Guy, this just seems way off.
Oh man, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get this. I would have bet Washington all day at 3.5. I think this is like closer to a pick, to be honest, or maybe Seattle -1. Like it's hard not, like 3.5 is like an astounding price for Washington. Easiest pick of the day. I don't think you're going to be able to find this line, unfortunately.
Yeah, now it's 2.5 at Pinnacle, and the juice is -109 on Washington. So it's already disappeared
trending
as far
down
as
to 1.
like the books that know what they're doing, at least, or the sharper books.
Yeah. So I do think this is a football team play. I like them to win this game, to be honest. But then so do a lot of people too. Like they just pulled off an upset win. And Russell Wilson putting up, 6 points in 2 weeks? That's not like, 13 points in 2 weeks. I had it shut off when they only had 6. So that's not exactly, going to titillate the fantasy and the square betting community.
Yeah,
So,
these two teams have just gone in complete opposite directions the last few weeks with how they've played, and that's
Yes.
going to be strong on the minds, including us. But eventually, it's just a price is a price, and there's just too many key numbers that you get with Washington at plus 3.5 at home.
It's irrefutable almost. So in real life now, like at that 2.5 number, I'm not sure which way I'm going to sway. I probably won't even bet it at all. That being said, contest wise, 3.5 all day.
All right, Fat Guy, on to the lightning round. Chicago at Detroit.
Lions,
Las Vegas at Dallas.
Raiders,
Buffalo at New Orleans.
Saints.
Falcons, Jags.
I didn't want you to cut me off, so I'm trying to do this really fast. Falcons,
Jets, Texans.
Texans,
Titans, Pats.
Patriots,
Eagles, Giants.
Eagles,
Bucks, Colts.
Colts.
Steelers, Bengals.
What? Steelers,
Panthers, Dolphins.
Panthers,
Chargers, Broncos.
Chargers,
Vikings, Niners.
Vikings.
Rams, Packers.
It's Rams,
Browns, Ravens.
Browns,
And the Seattle Seahawks at the Washington football team.
football team. I thought you said Penguins. Whatever.
And congratulations to Colty Boy 69 for going 11-3 last week. We will get on to Colty Boy for the overall leaderboard. But for week 11, Mussman the Busman currently in the lead at 11-2. Shout out to Cardona Misfits, Mr. 57, and Untouchable J for a very, very respectable 10-3. And I'm just peeking down the leaderboard as well. I even see Colty Boy 9-4 this week, as well as Addie's Daddy. Couldn't cut the Mostert. Go Ahead Eagles, Mickey, as well as Starfire. Fat Guy, we are just one game behind that leaderboard. And then onto the overall leaderboard, Colty Boy, 61%. Cassone, a second place as well, 57%. Very, very impressive from both of you guys. Also, Mr. 57 slowly making his way back up. Currently sitting at 54%, but he can still do some damage over these last few weeks. And then Fat
What
Guy,
he's shooting for.
oh yeah. Onto the honorable mentions.
Mr. 3-11, maybe a play on Mr. 57. At least I like to hope there's some sort of correlation there. And then we got Dylan just dropped James RB1 Robinson, but he tied in RB1 there to be a little bit clever, and I liked it. CLV can't learn Vegas. I don't know if that's a shot at the idea that we've been proposing or not, but at least it's topical, and I like that. That's that's proof of listening to the show. And even if you don't like it, I want some debate. I want some banter, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I might as well just pick randomly at this point. It does feel that way sometimes, doesn't it? Especially when you have to pick every game. It's a lot of ones like that. I kissed my sister, and I liked it. The Lions, ugly football, and nothing uglier than incest. Ugh. Fat Man, you're my hero. If you use the right "your," I would appreciate it. Fat Guy goes to Fat Camp. At this stage, I should. Adolf always dials in the blitz. Of course, they're talking about the new Adidas shows, and the originator of Adidas, Adolf Dreschler.
This is the JS715 Name of the Week. Whoa, kaboom!
I miss Roland, and this is one where it's comes closer to the heart a little bit here. We've been missing Dylan Toddfield a little bit. He took a little bit of a hiatus, and which was kind of nice. It was nice to have a break. But Roland Walton, maybe it has something to do with Dylan. Maybe it doesn't. We'll never know.
Make your picks against the spread for Week 12 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. Remember, there's $100 USD prize in Bitcoin to the regular season winner. Fat Guy, that's it. That's the there's a couple, or at least according to these numbers, there were some juicy lines to be had coming into today, but we can tell already at Pinnacle some of it is already dried up. It just shows you that, like you said, in the comments section, guys, let us know if you find a book that has these types of lines before they're released at a sharper book like Pinnacle, because there is some opportunity to be had prior to whatever this is, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays.
Could that be a cold breed, really, what you just did? Anyways, yeah, please line that up in the comment section. Reliability, of course, is number one.
And I'll see you guys at the ranch.